Hello, good morning, good afternoon, as usual, whatever time you're watching this. I've been thinking a lot lately about it was like when I was a young man, a teenager, a young adult, in my interactions with everyone. And I realized something. Politics really didn't play into whom I interacted with. When I met the woman I was to marry, I don't think she or I knew each other's politics, actually, for years. It wasn't what was important. And as I thought back, I had friends that were as far left, as woke, as we would call them today, as you could be. And I had friends who were to the right of Attila the Hun. We knew that about each other, and it wasn't important. We placed our political beliefs, I think, naturally at the low end of what is important in our interactions with others. We had a belief when it got right down to the brass tacks, we all wanted the same thing. We just had different opinions on how to get there. And that was how we placed our political beliefs. We want the same thing, but we disagree with on how we get there. I got a couple of readings, two of John Wesley, one out of the scriptures. This is a letter John wrote in October 6th of 1774, discussing an upcoming election. He says, I met with those of our society who had votes in the ensuing election, and I advised them, vote without fee or reward for the person you judge most worthy. Speak no evil of the person you vote against. To take care their spirit was not sharpened against those that voted on the other side. Those that are theologians will be very familiar with this saying from John Wesley. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all times you can, to all people you can, as long as ever you can. Then, of course, Matthew 22, verses 35 through 40. One of them, a legal expert, tested him. Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law? He replied, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your mind. And the second is like it. You must love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets depend on these two commands. We live in an age where people are not entering into lifelong pairing. We are living in an age where people don't have friends, good friends. We're living in an age where we are centered on self and only accept others into our circle when those others believe everything we believe. Or, at best, when those others will never challenge or disagree publicly with me on my beliefs. Why is this? Well, I'm a big history buff. I studied most of the history of the rise of the Western civilization. I've noticed that whenever we have a major change in society, there is great upheaval, moral upheaval, because society has been discombobulated by this change, and it's going to take a while to come back to a steady equilibrium. During the Industrial Revolution, we saw this. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, all manufacturing was basically what we call cottage industry. You made a widget, you're a craftsman, you made the widget in your home, in your village. You might have your sons or your daughters possibly involved in making the widget, but it was just you in your village. And as we know, in every society, we have societal norms, social norms and mores that we impose on the members of that society. That is done to ensure the smooth running, as much as it's humanly possible to have, of society. Those are control mechanisms over our behavior. With the advent of the Industrial Revolution, manufacturing moved out of the cottage and into warehouse, large buildings with hundreds of people all making the same thing. So that manufacturing would be moved to places where there is a large pool of individuals, cities. So our youth would leave the village to go to where the work is. And when they got there, they discovered nobody really knows me. I can just let loose because I'm anonymous. We saw a massive rise in unwed motherhood. We saw a massive rise in men who caused mothers to be unwed because they were not responsible for the child they helped produce. They would just go there and marry. Why? The woman's stuck with the child. I'm not. Eventually, we pulled back. We re-equalized. We understood that you're not anonymous and that your anonymous behavior has a very detrimental effect on society and you. And we re-equalized. We are in the height of information revolution. I was early on very involved with that. I was in computers, in IT in the 90s, late 80s through to basically about 2009, 2010. And one of the things I saw early on in the 90s was people getting online and they think they're anonymous. And that allows them to take all their filters off, all their controls off. I can just say what I want. Nobody knows me. Well, we're learning that's not true. You're not anonymous. And we are suffering the detrimental effects, and actually on a much larger scale than we did in the Industrial Revolution, because it's no longer just being a human in a human world, a real world, and thinking you're anonymous. It is being a intellect who thinks you're anonymous. You're just a nothing in the ether. And then we have the rise of social media. On top of that anonymity we think we have, we suddenly have a platform where in our mind, 100 million people just saw what I said. I'm important. Everybody wants to know what I think. That's what goes on in our mind. So we think we're anonymous, and at the same time, we think we're some brilliant pontificator that everyone is waiting with bated breath to hear what we say. None of those two things are true. It's the old saying, opinions are like, everyone's got one, and they all stink. We need to return ourselves to understand that we are all in the world together. And the truth is, the fact is, we are all the same. We all want the same thing. The disagreements come in how we think we should get to the same thing. Just like recovering from the destabilization that occurred in the Industrial Revolution, we are beginning to recover from the destabilization that the information revolution has caused. And the big thing that we recover from is we begin to again realize we're not anonymous, and that everything we do affects everything around us, and that everything we do is not secret. But on top of that, we have to get back to treating each other with love, with kindness, with understanding. We have to get back to, in our heads, hearing the words, "There but for the grace of God go I." I'm not talking about whether or not you believe in God. Don't get fixated on that. What I'm talking about is the realization that you and I are no different than anyone else. Now, if you're an atheist, that doesn't matter. If you call yourself a humanist, you're not a very good humanist at all, unless you do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, and at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can. Whether you be Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, atheist, agnostic, humanist, if you're not doing that which I just read, what you are being is a self-centered individual who cares nothing for the world around you. If we all start practicing doing all the good we can by whatever means we have, and we look for all the ways that we can, all the time, to everyone, regardless of their skin color, their nationality, their ethnic heritage, their political leaning. Do all the good we can for everyone, as long as we're on this earth. We will actually create the very society that we all want. That seems so elusive. If we want a better world, we have to create the better world. And we are not going to create it by vilifying those we disagree with. By doing that, we guarantee the better world we want will never happen. Doesn't matter what your faith is. Doesn't matter if you have faith. If you want a better world, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all times that you can, to all people you can, for as long as you ever can.